Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released iOS 14 to the public. That means it's available to all iOS 13 supported devices. So if you ran any version of iOS 13, you can install iOS 14. That means iPhone 6s all the way up to the 11 Pro Max and everything in between, iPhone SE, iPhone 7, you'll be able to install this. And this is a pretty large update. So this came in at 4.79 gigabytes for me on my iPhone 11 Pro Max. And so it will be around 4 gigabytes for you. Now it releases at the exact same time around the world. So if you're not seeing it, just go to Settings, then go to General, then go to Software Update and check for an update. And if you're not seeing it, go into your automatic update settings and turn that off, and then check again. You'll probably be able to see it. Now you will need Wi-Fi to install it. Now, other than iOS 14, Apple also released iPadOS 14, watchOS 7, and tvOS 14 also. So it's available on a lot of different devices, lots of new updates today. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's new. Now, if you've already installed iOS 14 and you are coming from iOS 13 and you're not a developer or public beta tester, you're good to go. However, if you're a developer or public beta tester and you want to get this same version, well, you already have it. You just had it a day before. So if you already have it and you just want to stay on the public releases from here on out, just go to your settings, go to General, scroll down to the bottom, tap on Profile, tap on the iOS 14 beta software profile, remove the profile, put in your passcode and reboot. Once it's removed, you're on the same version as everyone else. So you'll be good to go and you'll have all of these updates. Now there are so many updates with iOS 14. There's hundreds. I'm going to cover all the major updates, but there's also additional updates to iPad with iPadOS 14, which I'll cover in a separate video. So this one is a fairly long video, or will be. And so let's go over what's new. And the first thing is widgets. This you might already see. There's a big weather widget, there's a music widget, and there's a battery widget. And there's more. As apps get updated from developers, you'll see more and more of them. But if we slide left to our widget panel, and you can see there's a few of them, press and hold anywhere on the screen or scroll down and hit edit. Tap the plus and you'll see a bunch of different widgets. We have top stories. There's a smart stack that will rotate throughout the day based on what it thinks you want to see. We have maps and fitness, TV, news, notes, and then we also have some tips, stocks. We also have photos, reminders, a clock, screen time, and more. So files, fitness, and you've got a ton of others that you can add. Now there's different sizes for each of these as well. So for example, if we go to the news widget and we scroll over, we have a bunch of different sizes, a full screen size, a smaller size, and a very small size. Each widget may have a slightly different size. So weather, for example, there's a small, medium, and large. And if you want to add that, maybe we want to add the small one, hit add widget, and now drag it off the widget page and you can drag it to maybe another page. So it's a little bit buggy sometimes, as you can see there, but we'll scroll over here and you can just scroll with your finger like that if you want to. So we'll set it here, swipe up, and it locks it in. So it will be buggy from time to time. Hopefully it's not. You can also drag them on top of one another. So let's drag this one off here and maybe we'll drag it over the battery widget. And now we can scroll through them. So you can arrange these however you'd like, and as apps get updated, you'll see more and more of these. You can also press on a widget, and then you can edit the widget or edit the stack. We'll edit this widget here, and you'll see you can update it with whatever you'd like. So each widget is fully customizable, but you cannot interact with it. So that's one of the limitations. Now, Apple has also updated this so you can have sort of a blank screen, and there's an all new, what they call app library. And this arranges your apps automatically into suggestions, recently added, and then different categories based on what type of app they are. For example, you have utilities, social, entertainment, creativity, productivity and finance, other, travel, information and reading, shopping and food, education, health and fitness, and there may be more if I don't have them. And what you can do is have apps that are newly installed automatically go into that library, or you can have them not have any pages. So if you press and hold anywhere on the screen, you can tap on the little dots on the bottom, and now you can arrange your pages differently. You can delete all these pages if you only want to see a few of them, or you could delete them all if you only want to see one page and then We'll lock it in, one page, and then the app library. So it's up to you. You can fully customize it now. And so you have that option. So it's really nice. And then maybe you want to delete an app off your screen and you don't want it to show up anymore. Let's take mail, for example. Maybe we want to remove the app. It will ask you, do you want to move it to the app library? So it doesn't delete it unless you tell it to delete it. So they've made these changes to help you customize how you want your home screens and your apps arranged. Now, another new thing they've done is you can see I have Google Chrome here. Now, you don't have to use Chrome, but if you prefer to use a different browser, you can now set it as default. Now, it's up to the app maker or developer to actually add the feature there. But if we scroll down to our settings and then go to Chrome settings, you'll see we can change the default browser app. So we can change it from Safari to Chrome and back. Now, this will also include email, and hopefully in the future it will include maps as well. So all of these things need to be updated, and you'll probably see those updates fairly soon, but you can set default apps now. So maybe you open an email and you want to open your browser. It won't default to Safari if you don't want it to, so you have that option. Now there's a new change to the phone app that I think a lot of people will appreciate. So if I go and make a call to myself, when I receive a call, you'll see that it pops in from the top. It no longer takes up the entire screen. Now you can change this back if you want. I can answer it, hang up, or just swipe it off the screen and it goes away. So it's a nice little change. If you want the full screen app, it's under your phone settings, so you can go back to that as well. So it's nice that they've finally updated that for people that really want that huge phone incoming call screen out of the way. Now there's a new update that I know a lot of people will appreciate, and that is picture-in-picture. Now it does have to be supported by the app developer and they have to enable it, but it's supported currently by the TV app. So if I play a movie like Dunkirk, when the movie's playing, just swipe up and go back home, and then you'll have your picture-in-picture window. So you can move it around. I can resize it if I want it really small. And of course, I can just exit it if I want to do that as well. So that's built in, super nice. It's part of their new compact design or compact UI with the phone and Siri as well. So speaking of Siri, if I press and hold, how are you today? And it says, I'm fine, thanks. So I have my volume turned off, but you'll see Siri looks different. It's more compact, and it also has expanded knowledge that brings 20 times more facts than 3 years ago. So not only that, but it has a wider set of answers, and audio messages can be sent with Siri on iOS and CarPlay. So it has that, as well as expanded language support. So you could say, translate something. So let's do that. Tell me how to say hello in Japanese. And it takes a moment, and then it says konnichiwa, and it will play it back if you want it to and explain it. So let me turn it up here. So if you want to learn how to say different languages, it will translate 10 different languages currently, and it's done on the device for faster translation. Now in the control center, if I pull down, you'll see that it says at the top, Siri, recently, and there's a picture of the microphone. This is an improvement in privacy to let you know what was recently using your microphone. It will also show up if it's using your camera as well. So based on what you're doing, it just gives you a little notification as to what was used last and to let you know what's using different applications or different functions of your phone. Now within messages, they've made some changes as well. So let's go into messages. And in messages, while I have a lot of this blurred out, you can see we have different circles at the top, and these are pinned contacts. You can pin up to 9 contacts. So if I want to pin a contact here, press and hold on a conversation, and down at the bottom, you can hit pin. And once you pin that person, they show up. And so it just is an easy way to access different people within a conversation. And another thing they've updated is you can now have conversations with family like you always could, but you can also change the image for that conversation. So I have one here, and at the top, if I tap on the 2 people, hit I for info. At the top here, it says change name and photo. So I can change it to maybe a smiley face, hit done, and it's changed the overall group to a photo or an image of whatever we would like. So it's pretty simple and straightforward, but it's a nice little update. Now within that group message, you can actually reply to someone individually now. So if I press and hold on this conversation, I can hit reply. And now this is an individual reply. And now it replies only to that person within the conversation, nobody else. It's a conversation between myself and this person, no one else. If I go back out, it's not shown by anyone else. So it's pretty simple, but it's nice that you have a reply, and it even tells you there's one reply. So it's a nice little update that they've done. Now within a conversation, there's new memoji as well. So if you use memoji, maybe we've got a memoji here. We'll wait for it to load. There's my memoji. We'll go to the three dots and let's edit this memoji. We have a bunch of new configurations. We have 11 new hairstyles and 19 new headwear styles. So maybe we go over to headwear. You've got a bunch of different hats, all sorts of things. Tons of different things, including face coverings as well, a couple different styles, and also 6 added age options, new memoji stickers. So if we go out here and maybe we want to go to our stickers, we'll wait for it to create those stickers. There's new memoji stickers for things like fist bump, for example, and more. Hug, blush. And so if you like to use memoji stickers, you now have all those options. Now, additionally, there's an update within Messages that allows you to actually search for emoji finally. So if you go into your emoji, you can now search them. So maybe you want to search for, I don't know, a lobster. You can search for it and it will show up. So it's a nice little update. And they've additionally updated the keyboard quite a bit. So there's on-device dictation. So once you use dictated voice, so maybe we'll say Apple, it should be faster because it's recognizing it on the device itself and then filling in the letters. It seems to be quicker in the time I've been using it. Also, the keyboard will display autofill suggestions from contacts for email addresses, phone numbers, and more. And there's also new dictionaries for French, German, Indonesian English, Japanese Simplified Chinese, and Polish English. There's also Woobi input method for Simplified Chinese, autocorrection support for Irish, or Irish Gaelic, Norwegian, Norsk, I think is how you say that. There's also redesigned Japanese kana keyboards with easier input, as well as mail supporting email addresses using non-Latin languages. So a lot of updates to the keyboard. Hopefully it's much better than it was before. I know some people complained during the betas, but it should be better overall. Now Safari gets a major update as far as performance. So it gets improved performance with even faster JavaScript rendering or engine. And also it has a couple new features that are really helpful. So for example, if we tap on the 2 A's in the upper left, we now have a privacy report for the website we're on. So we can tap on privacy report and it will tell us all of the different websites we've visited and tell us what was tracking what and where. So if we go to trackers, you can see the trackers, the websites, and it says that it prevented 157 different trackers from profiling me. And 82% of websites I went to had trackers. So it's an interesting privacy report that's built in. Now, some of these privacy features with tracking and things may not go into full effect until next year, but right now that's built in and you can see that. It also will monitor passwords across different websites to let you know if it's been compromised, and I'll show you that in a moment. But before we go there, there's Translate built right into this Safari, so it's really nice. So maybe I go to a website that doesn't have the language that I actually speak, in this case, French. So I know people say I pronounce this incorrectly, but in the United States, it's pronounced Peugeot, and that's Peugeot.fr for France. If I hit the 2 A's, you'll see down in the bottom here, it says translate to English. If I tap on translate to English, it will automatically translate the website into English. Now, sometimes it takes a moment, but it translates it to English, and now I can actually read the website. So anything that was text is instantly translated. It does not work for all languages, but currently it works for English, Spanish, Simplified Chinese, French, German, Russian, or Brazilian Portuguese. If you're in those areas, you should have this ability. So it's a really nice option to have built in. Now, where I was mentioning the password tracking, it keeps track. If you're using Apple's keychain, you go to your settings and then you go down to passwords. So if I go into passwords, it will give me security recommendations of passwords that may or may not be compromised, and it gives me the option to change those. So it checks it against a database and says, hey, this is in a known compromised database. You may need to update your password. Now, another new feature with iOS 14 that we'll see more in the future with is called app clips. If you go to the iOS 14 website, you can see app clips, and what they are snippets of different apps that allow you to use functionality within that app without downloading that app. So for example, maybe you go to a store and you don't have the app for that specific store, but they have the app clip API on their devices, it will bring up maybe the payment for that store so you can pay and then you can be on your way without installing the app altogether. So it's a really nice thing that they've updated. I haven't seen it yet in real use anywhere, but hopefully we see this all over the place. Now, where I showed you that translate feature in Safari, there's actually a brand new app called Translate. So let's go over to the iPhone 11 here, and here is the new Translate app. And you'll see it says there's conversation mode, on device mode, and favorites. And it allows you to actually translate from different languages. So you'll see it says English. I can pick from all these different languages here. There'll probably be more in the future. So there's available offline languages as well. But let's translate from English to Spanish. And hi, how are you today? And it will say, hola, ¿qué tal estás hoy? So it will actually tell you what it is, and it will play it as well. So let me turn the volume up.
Hola, ¿qué tal estás hoy?
And so I know I didn't pronounce that properly, but what it allows you to do is have a conversation with someone if you rotate to landscape. So you can go back and forth. So it will recognize what language you're speaking and then translate it to the other language. So if I say, hola, ¿cómo está? You'll see it recognized it and went back over to English, and now it says, hello, how are you? So it's a really handy feature. You can use it offline with certain certain languages, and it's really impressive that it works so fast and on device. So it doesn't need to go to servers to get a lot of this information. Now, search has been updated as well to search multiple applications. There's settings for this as well. So maybe I'll just search Apple, and it will give me suggestions as I search. So it's saying the Apple Store app, maybe apps for Apple Watch. It's talking about my different notes here, looking through them for everything announced in the iOS 14 release date, developer, watch, and it's giving me suggestions. And if you're on an iPad, you can just type a few letters, hit enter, and it will open that app as well. It works basically like Spotlight on a Mac, so it's really nice to have, especially on an iPad. Now, within the Home app, they've updated some things as well, such as automations. So not only do you have a different layout with maybe your favorite scenes and favorite accessories and favorite cameras, for example, you also have automations where you can create automations within your home. So it will give you suggested automation. So you did have some of this control before, but it will suggest things such as when people arrive, do a specific function. So when people arrive, if anyone arrives or the first person arrives, location and time, then you can turn on lights, do different things based off the actual HomeKit devices you have. So it's really nice that it has all of this built in. And so, for example, you can set up dynamic lighting for the most relevant accessories, as well as adaptive lighting that automatically adjusts based on time of day and how you have your house set. So maybe in the evening you want it to sort of tone out that blue color or the blue light, you can do that. So activity zones are also there for video cameras and things like that. And it's all secure on the device, and it doesn't share any of that information with anyone else. It's encrypted end to end if you're using a camera, for example. And that camera does not cut into your cost of iCloud. So if you have one of the higher end tiers of iCloud and you have a camera like I do, for example, it will not cut into the storage that you're already using there. It's end-to-end encrypted, and no one else can see it unless you share it with them. Now, they've updated the weather app a little bit, and it will give you dynamic weather information. And this may be part of them purchasing dark sky. And you'll see here with air quality, they've rearranged the way it looks a little bit, and this will change throughout the day. So not only will the weather change, the widget will change based on the weather. So you'll see on my iPhone 11, where I have the larger widget, it's telling me the different time of day and what the weather will be like. And then on the smaller one, it's just giving me the temperature, and currently that it's partly cloudy. So it just depends on what you're doing, but it will change dynamically throughout the day. The widget will even change the way it looks altogether based on whether there's rain or snow or anything else. Now, a new function that actually went live the other day has to do with AirPods Pro and AirPods. AirPods will now switch dynamically between different devices. So if you have your AirPods updated, I have a video on that I put out the other day, but if you update your AirPods, you can now have them dynamically switch between devices when you're using them. So maybe I'm watching a movie on my iPad and then I want to listen to music or take a call on my phone. They'll switch all by themselves automatically, and you don't have to do anything. So it's really nice. And this is also coming to Mac as well. Then they've also added spatial audio, which allows for dynamic head tracking of movies that make it sound like it's coming right from the device, but also when you turn your head, it knows that you've turned your head and you can hear out of the side of the ear that's close to the screen. So if you turn your head to the right and your left ear is close to the screen, it will sound as though you're standing in front of your display. It's really interesting. You have to try it if you have AirPods Pro. It will work with Apple TV, as well as iPhone and iPad and Mac in the future with macOS Big Sur. It will also let you know if you need to charge your AirPods as well, and let you know when they're charged. And that carries across to Apple Watch also. It lets you know when it's fully charged or needs to charge. Now, there's a few different changes with privacy. So privacy is a big one for me and many other people, and it will now dynamically let you change how you're sharing, say, your approximate location or your actual location with someone. So if you go to your location services in your privacy settings, and maybe we go to Apple Store, you can have it share your precise location or a general location of maybe you live in a metro area like New York City and you only want it to let it know that you're in that general area, but not specifically in Manhattan. You can do that. Or you can say, let it know your precise location. It will also prompt you each time, or while you're using the app, you can allow it to use your location or never. You can adjust this per app and every app. So not only is it true for your location, but it's true for your photos as well. So if you want certain applications to be able to use your photos, say Google Photos, for example, you can allow it to just use selected photos or none at all. So if you want it to give selected photos, you can go in and edit the photos you want to allow it to use. Otherwise, it can't use any others. So you can select just specific photos. It's a really nice feature, and I'm glad they've added that. And then you're going to see sign in with Apple in many more places, which allows you to sign in securely without them knowing your information. That should be in many more places coming soon. Now, for those that have a disability or need a little bit more help, there's some additional accessibility features that Apple has added this year. They have a really strong focus on this, and I think they're getting better year over year. And so let's go into settings. And then we'll go down to accessibility, and under accessibility, we have some new options. So for example, if we go to touch and then we scroll all the way to the bottom, we have a new feature called back tap. We can turn back tap on, and then we can select a function that will allow us to do a different function on our phone by tapping the back of the phone. So if we want to double tap the phone, we'll do that. And then maybe we want, by double tapping the phone, we can do, I guess, an accessibility shortcut, or maybe app switcher or control center or home or whatever we'd like. You can even set up a specific shortcut from your shortcuts app as well. So for example, I'll find flashlight on, and then I'll go back and triple tap. We'll go down to flashlight off. So now if I double tap the back of the phone, it will run that function, triple tap, and it will run the function to turn off the flashlight. So it's a really nice function that they've added, and it works well and should be available to most devices. Now they've added additional features as well under accessibility. So let's again scroll down within the accessibility menu and go to audio and visual. And you'll see we now have headphone accommodations. And what this allows for is to amplify soft sounds and adjust certain frequencies customized for an individual's hearing. So if we tap on this and turn on headphone accommodation, you'll see we can now tune it for a balanced tone, vocal range, brightness. We can change it for slight, moderate, or strong, and apply it with phone, media, or both, or neither. So we have a couple different options that should help there. Now, a function I can't really show you is with FaceTime that has to do with accommodations. So if you're someone that has trouble hearing, there's now FaceTime prominence for those that are actually using sign language. So FaceTime will detect when you're using sign language, when you're on a call, for example. So maybe you're using sign language, it will recognize that you're using your hands and then zoom in on those hands so you can see them better. So it's a nice little update that they're doing, and it should help a lot of people that if you need sign language, it will be available in FaceTime and it will zoom in. You, of course, can turn that off if you don't like that. Now there's another feature under accessibility, under hearing, called sound recognition. So we'll go into sound recognition. I have it turned on. We'll go to sounds, and what it will do is listen for sounds and let you know if it hears something. So for example, it has alarms for fire, siren, and smoke. It has cat and dog, appliances, car horn, doorbell, door knock, water running, and baby crying. So now I'll play the sound of a doorbell and let's see if it works. and you'll see it popped in and said a sound has been recognized that may be a doorbell. And so it worked. It's pretty nice. Now, another accessibility feature has to do with VoiceOver. So if we turn VoiceOver on, VoiceOver can recognize a lot of different things on the display now. So for example, it uses on-device intelligence to recognize elements on your screen to improve the support overall. So it will let you know everything from image descriptions to read complete sentences in their descriptions of images and photos that appear on the web. So it also recognizes text as well. So let's go to VoiceOver recognition. And you'll see image descriptions are on and screen recognition is on. So let me turn the volume up.
And text.
So it's reading everything on the display. I can tap on Safari, for example.
Safari.
So you'll see it will explain anything I tap on. Maybe I'll tap on this iPhone here.
Format options. Button. Animated Apple event logo.
So let's just navigate around so you can hear what this sounds like.
Animated Apple event logo. Time for a recap. Introducing Apple Watch Series 6, Apple Watch SE, Apple Fitness Plus, the new iPad Air.
And so you can see how it can recognize all the different things on your display. So screen recognition will detect everything from interface controls to aid in navigating apps. So it's really great. Of course, you can change how it plays back any of this information with text recognition and the feedback style of playing a sound, doing nothing, or speaking. It's really nice, and I'm glad they've added this. I think they'll continue to improve accessibility over the future as well. Now, there's a few updates to the App Store as well. So if I go into the App Store, and then you tap on your name in the upper right, and then you can see it says Game Center at the top with your ID. And so it gives your achievements, your games, your nickname on there, friends recently played with, friend suggestions. You can add friends, achievements by game, sign out, and everything else, or have nearby players. So it's just asking if you want to have different friends in here, what they're playing. It's a nice little update to Game Center that we haven't seen in a long time. Now, if you have Apple Arcade, there's different suggestions within that with more information on different games, recommended games, upcoming games, and achievements and more. So they're really pushing Apple Arcade, and that's going to go along with their new Apple One subscription service in the future, I think. So it's should be pretty interesting. Now, also pretty soon, we're going to see new labels similar to nutrition labels on food, but for apps and their privacy. So for example, if we go into Temple Run, let's go into this one, we scroll down, it says what's new, of course, and you have ratings and reviews, and then we'll have more information about privacy as well in the future, a specific privacy policy and a little label that tells us exactly what's going on with that app. We should see more of this pretty soon if we're not seeing it already when the apps get updated. Now, if you're familiar with Apple Cash, you're using Wallet, you can now have Apple Cash Family that can be enabled for up to 5 family members under 18. And so you can send money to your child through messages or Siri. There's notifications for purchases and parental controls as well with shared oversight, so you can have a general view of your family as well. So that should be available, and you can try that out if you want to. Now, there's some updates to the camera as well as augmented reality as well. So augmented reality allows you to do different games using your camera, and there's better character recognition and face recognition that allows you to see the differences between where your hand might be and objects behind it, for example, when you're using the camera. So it just depends on what you're doing, but it should be better for developers in the future. Now, there's also in the camera improved shot performance. So when you take a picture, it should be faster. There's also quick take video that can be captured on the iPhone XS and XR. And on older phones, you can also change the resolution of the different video within your video by just tapping in the upper left. There's also updated night mode as well. So if you're using night on your different device and you want to use night mode, you have that ability to have some more options here. And so if you want to capture a photo and it's dark, it will sense that it's dark. So if we do this, you'll see night mode automatically appeared. And now we have some different options for it. If I turn the lights back on, it disappears. So it gives you a more easily accessible option for night mode with some more options. There's also exposure compensation. So here we can change the exposure in our options if we want. So they've updated that. And you can also mirror the front camera to allow you to take selfies that match the front camera preview. And so if we go into our settings and then we scroll down to camera, you can see it says mirror front camera. So we can see what it looks like exactly like we're seeing it, or we can change that if we don't like it. So you'll see right now, it looks pretty accurate, but if we want to turn that off, we can. And then there's also improved QR code scanning. So all of those things have been updated. Now also there's updates to FaceTime as well that uses machine learning on iPhone 10 and newer to actually make it look like you're looking at the camera, even if you're not exactly looking at the camera. It adjusts your eyes and face. Of course, again, you can turn these off if you don't want them. Now within Files, if you use the Files app, APFS encryption support now works on external drives. So if you have an encrypted drive formatted in APFS on your iPhone or iPad, it will work with that. So it's a nice little update that they have. Now there's some new updates for health. So let's go into the health app. So within health here, you can see that it looks a little bit different, and we have sleep for time in bed. We have our steps, show all health data, and then it says highlights. So they've sort of rearranged the way this looks overall. We also have wind down for sleep. So if we go into our sleep, we have a schedule of when to go to sleep, when to wake up, and we can adjust different data here, get sleep apps. And if we want to adjust our sleep, we go to our clock, and then we go to our alarm here. You'll see there's sleep wake. We can change this and change our sleep schedule and everything else, and have it help us wind down during the day so that we know when to go to bed if we're trying to get on a normal schedule. Within the health app, there's also a new mobility category as well. So if we go into browse, you'll see there's mobility. So under mobility, we have double support time, step length, walking speed, walking asymmetry, the past 7 days, and our VO2 max level. And so it just records that. If you're using an Apple Watch, it helps, of course, give more accurate data. So all of that is included in this update. Now music has been updated. You can see we've reverted back to what looks like the iOS 7 icon, if you hadn't noticed that already. So we'll go into music, and there's now a Listen Now tab. And we'll try again. It had an error, so we'll let it load. There we go. And it's a Listen Now with some suggestions such as made for you favorite mixes. And if you have Apple Music, of course, that helps. Another new feature I really like is that if we go into a song, maybe we're playing a song, and we tap these 3 little icons here for a menu. In the upper right, we have an infinity symbol. This will continue to play music even after you finish this music. It will continue to play it and find similar music. It will just keep it going throughout the day. So maybe you set up some pop music or jazz or rock, any of those. It will continue to find similarly sounding music and play it over and over and over until you stop it. Search is also updated to showcase your favorite genres with different people and artists showing within those genres. So it's based off what you actually listen to. And then the library also filters based on what you're doing as well, such as recently added, and they've updated it a little bit. So the overall interface is slightly changed as well. You may have already noticed that. And when you're playing music and you've got different options here, it's just organized a little bit differently. I think you'll find it, better the more you use it. In fact, it feels pretty natural most of the time when I'm using it, and I don't really think about it. Now, Notes gets some updates as well. Nothing huge, but more convenient. So if we go into Notes, you'll see a bunch of different notes for the videos I've been doing. If I press and hold on one, we've got some better quick actions for pin the note, lock the note, share the note, send a copy and move, or delete. And you'll see that it's just organized a little bit differently. It looks a little different. You can also pin a note. So if I want to pin it, it will stay at the top, just like you can do that with messages now. So a bunch of changed little things here and there. Also, shape recognition enables drawing circles. So maybe if we go in here and let's draw a circle. If we draw a circle and then hold, it recognizes it's a circle, let go, and it keeps it a circle. We can do the same with a rectangle, and it does the same. So it's got character recognition. It's pretty interesting, and it works on iPad as well. There's also better recognition when you're scanning a document, for example. So if you're having problems before, it should be better when you're just scanning a document here. You have the option to have some better character recognition there. Now, Photos gets a few small changes. So if we go into Photos, you can now filter and sort your collections a little bit more easily. Zoom in, just like we could years ago. Just zoom right in, no problem. It really reminds me of what we had before. There's also photo and video caption support. Live photos using iOS 14 will now autoplay. Memories have been updated. So if I go to For You, you'll see memories. They look a little bit different. They're better filtered, more relevant, and just in general, you can sort a little bit better. There's not any huge changes here, but there are a few. Now, if we go into the podcast app, tap on podcasts, Listen Now has been updated. So Listen Now gives you smarter recommendations and personal episode cues. So maybe you're listening to the Vergecast or Gadgetcast or any of those, it will update them better and show you the latest episodes. And it's just a little bit better organized than it used to be if you use the podcast app. Now, Reminders gets a few updates as well. So if we go into Reminders, let's add a list. We'll just say Apple event, or I guess some event. It should have said Apple here. Let's try that again. And we'll hit done. And we go into the Apple event. Now we'll tap on the three dots for our menu, and now we can share this list with someone else. We can add someone to the list a little bit better and assign reminders to people you share lists with. So maybe you share a list with 4 people, you can assign a reminder to one of those people. New reminders can also be created from those lists, and also there's smart suggestions as well. So you have my lists here, you've got Siri suggestions. We'll go into Siri suggestions, check around the date of, and it's found in messages, it says. And then also, if I go into the list I just created, the Apple event, again, go to my options. Let's go to name and appearance. I can change the appearance of the icon as well. So it's been updated quite a bit. If you want to change it, you can do that. Just some nice little tweaks here and there. And then you can rearrange or hide your smart lists as well. So it's a really nice way to use reminders. I think it's getting better and better. You'll see I can rearrange it here. It's getting better and better, and I'm finding I'm using it more and more. Now there's some updates with shortcuts as well. So if we go into the Shortcuts app, you can see we have My Shortcuts. We have all shortcuts, but we also have starter shortcuts. So now we can have some shortcuts that sort of give you built-in tailor-made shortcuts based on Siri suggestions. So if we go into starter shortcuts and then we add one, and you can see here's a bunch of suggestions. So maybe set light brightness and set office desk LED to 9%, and then we can change it again based off suggestions. So there's additional starter shortcuts as well as some new shortcuts that are recommended. So we'll delete this one. We'll go to the gallery, and you have a bunch of others as well. So there's a really well-designed way to access a bunch of shortcuts if you use this a lot. You can also have folders like you saw here. So we have a folder. We can add additional folders if we'd like. And then also there's automation triggers that can run shortcuts based on, say, receiving an email or the battery level or closing an app. There's also wind down shortcuts as well. So quite a few different things. So if I go to my shortcuts here, select a new one, we have Shazam It, for example. We can listen to music and it will let us know just by pressing the shortcut. Of course, we could ask Siri to do the exact same thing. Now, Voice Memos gets an update as well. Now, within Voice Memos, we have similar organization to what we get with reminders and shortcuts with different folders. So we can add a folder. We also have favorites. So in favorites, you can see that I have a favorite. We'll tap on this, tap the 3 dots, and you'll see that we can unfavorite it or favorite it again. And we can do that with each recording. So it's a nice little update. There's also smart folders that will automatically group them. So if you have a lot of recordings, it can group them by things such as recent recordings or things recorded on your watch, for example. And there's enhanced recording that reduces background noise and room reverberation. So if you're recording, say, within a classroom and there's a lot of noise, it will better pick up the teacher who's speaking so that you can actually listen to them later on. Now, aside from all of those things I've mentioned, CarPlay gets an update as well with wallpaper options. You can share your ETA. You have new categories of supported apps for parking, EV charging, quick food ordering, and more, as well as Chinese and Japanese keyboard support and horizontal status bar support for cars with portrait screens. So a lot of updates for that. And then speaking of in the car, there's map updates as well. So if we go into maps, you'll see I've searched for San Francisco, and if you're in a larger city, you'll have guides, and these will roll out across the world slowly, but I think we'll see them more and more. And so the guides offer different places you can go within those cities. So this one says San Francisco restaurants with DIY meal kits. You can share it with a friend to meet them or save it and then get directions or fly over. If I want to get directions, I can get directions. And if I get directions from, say, the Apple Union Square store to San Francisco, for example, I now have biking directions as well. And it will tell me that it's mostly flat. It will tell me if it has stairs or not. It will tell me that within my turn-by-turn directions, whether or not I have those stairs. And it will show me exactly where to go. So it's a nice little update The cycling maps also come to watchOS 7 as well, which I'll cover in a separate video. Now we can route, and in the future we'll have electric vehicle routing as well. So I haven't seen this yet, but hopefully we'll see that soon. So you've got all your normal details like you would normally in Apple Maps, but also it will tell you congestion zones to help you route around things that are such as active zones in cities such as London or Paris, and it will notify you of speed cameras in certain cities if you have those. Also, it helps you refine your location and give you more specific orientation based on which way you're pointing, and it just seems to be more and more accurate the more I use it with iOS 14. So they've updated maps quite a bit. So there are a ton of changes all throughout the OS, and performance-wise with older devices, I really wouldn't be concerned. Everything from the iPhone 6s Plus, the iPhone 7, iPhone SE all seem to perform really well. Everything from scrolling to snapping a photo, there's no issues. And also, there are a few new wallpapers as well. So if you go into wallpapers, you can see there's a few new ones here. Nothing major. They've been there with the beta all along. So you've got basically 6 new ones that go along with iOS 14. And there are just tons and tons of other small changes throughout. So that's it for iOS 14, and if you're considering whether or not you should install it, well, I would highly recommend it, because if you have an older device, such as an iPhone 6s or 6s Plus, you can expect better performance and things like the camera, and just in general, stability should be improved overall. iOS 13 wasn't great that way, so it should be much better. Now, in the future, of course, there will be additional updates as well, so expect maybe iOS 14.0.1 or iOS 14.1 before iPhone 12 launches, sometime maybe next month. So we should see some updates coming soon. Now, also, if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.